of you have ever heard about Vedic astrology before? Okay, maybe 10. That's great. How many of you have ever been? How many of you ever had habits that you're trying to change, but you were just unable to change them? Or maybe have you ever been in a situation where you were in a relationship and there were just patterns which were repeating again and again and again, and you were fully aware of them, but you couldn't move on? Or has any one of you ever been in a position where you maybe had a dream career and you wanted to do something in the work field, but you just continuously ran into blockages? Or last, maybe did one of you, I hope not, but did ever one of you maybe have a health crisis and no one could figure out what it is, and no matter what you do, it would just keep coming back? I think, at least personally speaking, I could tick a few of those boxes. Or sometimes maybe even we see some people, they might try to change their mind. They just try to overcome the same old patterns, like maybe bad habits or procrastination or anxiety, but maybe you were unable to change it. And I'm sure some of you also know at least a few people who don't have any problems like that, who their whole life is just like a cruise and they just go through and everything just comes to them. Did ever anyone have at least one of those experiences that I just said? Yeah, a few. Okay, cool. So first of all, nice to meet you and thank you for coming. I'm Keshari, and for those who don't know me, I've been living as a monk for 5 years in different ashrams all around the world. A little bit in Australia and India, a little bit Mexico, some other places as well. And the last few years I've been studying Vedic astrology, which is a great science that I would like to share with you today. First of all, to understand Vedic astrology, what is Vedic astrology? Vedic astrology in Sanskrit is called Jyotish, and Jyotish basically means the science of light. So Vedic astrology studies how the light in the sky is affecting our lives. And I hope at the end of this workshop to surprise you that the stars and the sun and the moon, they're doing so much more than just painting a beautiful picture at night. They're actually controlling and changing this world at every step. And that is why an astrologer, just from the time that you were born, can actually see a whole outline of your entire life. Because the stars, they're actually in charge. And I would like to prove that to you as well. So in case if you don't believe in astrology, I would like to as well challenge you to investigate it more. I will in this talk, we will speak about what is astrology. We will speak about what is karma. I'm sure all of you know about karma, but maybe not all of you know exactly how karma works. Then we'll also speak about the planets as the agents of karma. And then if you have some time, we'll speak about the 12 zodiac signs. I'm sure you all know the 12 signs. But have you ever heard of the 12 houses before? The 12 houses in the sky? A little bit. So we look at them a little deeper. And we will also speak about how you could change your karma after being made aware of it. So let me ask you, what do you know about karma? It's complicated, true.
Karma is about unresolved energetics issues that you come to work through and gain the lesson, and dissipate that energy, the blocked or the sticky energy, that until you resolve and learn through it, you'll keep.
Sure, I like it. I like it. I like it. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is karma just negative, or can it also be positive?
Okay, we dive straight into it. So there's two types of karma. First of all, karma means action. It also means reaction. So there's two types. There's a positive type, which we call in India, we call it punya karma. Or we can say P for positive karma. So that's to answer your question, there's good karma as well. And then there's the opposite, which is papa karma. Papa means, let's just say bad, bad karma. And every person has, we all have good and we have bad karma. And actually, anything that we have in our life, including our parents, our personality, our career, all our partner or partners before that, our job, our kids, all of it is actually because of our karma. It is not just one day that we drive into Coles and we can't get and someone bangs our car and everything, oh, that was my karma. No, actually, everything that happened in your life was your karma. And so knowing that there's good and bad karma, let me ask you, how do you get good karma? Service, that's nice. I like it. Why not? Let's write it there. Service. How do you get bad karma?
From past lives.
From past lives, sure, that's true. You can get good karma from past lives too. You can get bad karma from this life too.
Giving people the evil eye, which is any kind of negative perception of others, even in thoughts.
Have you been to India?
No.
In India,
Not this life, but yeah, other life.
in India, they're all about the evil eye. And it's true, it does exist actually. If other people think badly of you, it does change your life. So you should be nice to others. So let's say you get good karma through service, you get bad karma through this service. Is that English? I'm from Germany. Yeah? Cool. So you get good karma for doing the right things, for being a virtuous person. The ancient text from where astrology comes from, they describe that any action that is out of kindness to benefit another person, even though it doesn't matter how insignificant it is, in one sense, that's the beginning of punya karma, of doing good things. And any action that is the opposite, that is with the intent of harming others or with the unintentional outcome to harming others, that is negative karma. And then besides that, there's also something that is called, not to make it too complicated, but there's something that's called nitya karma. That means your daily obligations. In the West, we don't really like to think of obligations. We all like to be free, at least speaking for myself. I hated it when my parents told me that I have an obligation to clean my room or something. But actually, in Vedic astrology, in this Vedic understanding of the world, you have an obligation to this universe by taking a human birth. And anything that you do that is against your obligation, it is also creating some negative karma. And any action that is according to your obligation for your human life creates good karma. Do you have any ideas, just hypothetically, if you would have obligations to the universe, what that could be? Parent? Yeah, that's true. That's like an obligation, they say, that you have to your forefathers and your parents, like the lineage that made you, because you actually didn't make your body, right? Someone else made it. And in the same way, like if you go in the store, you buy a jacket, someone else made it as a price tag. So also when you get a human body at birth, there's an obligation that comes to your forefathers. That means like you should treat your parents nicely if you can. And we speak more about the effects of that. You should have a family in the future. You have some other ideas of obligations that you could have, hypothetically, if there would be something like that. Look after the earth. Definitely. You should not pollute the earth. To give a practical example, I had one client from Dubai, based in the UK, last month. And in his previous life, he polluted the earth significantly polluted the environment. So the nature spirits, the Sarpas, they were really angry with him. So in this life, he had extreme career problems. And he just couldn't get to work, nothing helped. And we saw what he did in his previous life, and we told him what to do now. And within 1 week, he was actually got a job. So it blew my mind. I would like to share the full story with you maybe later. But we do have obligations to the earth, right? We shouldn't pollute her. Things of that nature.
To your body, which is also part of the earth.
Exactly, shouldn't pollute your body. Then there's just normal obligations, like you should wake up in the morning. If you can, you should take a shower, brush your teeth. You do get some good credits for that. You should meditate, reflect about the meaning of life. All those things will help to develop some good karma, and everything that goes against that will give some negative karma, just a little bit. Karma, ABC. Now, there's 3 intensities of karma. There is what is called, do you prefer English or Sanskrit? Okay, sure. So there's Drita karma, which means fixed. There's Adrita, which means not fixed. And then there's Drita, Adrita, which means, can you read that actually? Kind of. Is there anyone who has a more beautiful handwriting? Okay, fair enough. So there's Drita karma, which means fixed. So there's some karma, some baggage that we carry. If you hypothetically accept karma, then there's some baggage that we carry which is so dense that it's like written in stone. It has to come to pass. And if you see an astrologer, he looks at your chart and he sees, oh, you have this fixed karma there. You can't. There will be no way you can avoid it. And the astrologer can very easily make predictions about that. For example, if Elon Musk would have a child, I bet the child will have a fixed karma to be rich. Like, huh?
He has got lots of children.
Yeah. And in that sense, there's certain people in life we can see they have a fixed destiny. So also in the horoscope, certain things will be absolutely fixed, and they'll be difficult to change. Now, some things, they're Adrita, and I will tell you a little bit more also how to see them. Then there are some things which are not fixed. They're like written in sand. You can easily change them. For example, I had one client and her daughter was studying to be a doctor, but she was mentally a little bit challenged because her ancestors were very angry. And just to keep it there, they were very angry. So she was mentally a bit challenged, and she also had, on the side, she had anorexia. So her mother was not eating less. She was always finishing her meals because she didn't want to set a bad example for her daughter. So she asked me in my horoscope, when will I reduce my weight? But I looked at her horoscope. There was no fixed karma. It was her own choice. She can just change it if she changes her diet. But then there are some people who might try so much to change their diet, but maybe they cannot improve their health. So there's a difference between fixed karma and not fixed karma. And then there what is called Drita, Adrita karma, which means it is fixed, but is not fixed. So that is karma which it's very much set, like an astrologer can easily see it, he can easily predict your life. But if you just try hard enough, you could actually change it, even though most people don't. And we will speak about how to change that as well with some practical examples. But just to understand, there's 2 types of karma, good and bad. And then there's also three weights, 3 intensities. And then, is it too complicated? No, not at all. Great. So then there's 4 divisions, 4 categories of karma in your life. There is samchitta, which means total. There is, which means this life. To keep it simple, I tell you 3 out of 4 for now. There's samchitta karma. And if you don't believe in it, like just take it hypothetically until I finish my presentation. So there is samchitta karma, which is all the karma that you've accumulated from all of your lifetimes. Because in the same way, like you have a bank account and you go to Mantra Fest, but you only take a certain amount with you, right, to spend at Mantra Fest. You don't, if there would be no ATMs and no Wi-Fi, you'd only have limited access. So samchita karma, it's like all the karma you have from all your millions of lifetimes in storage. And then you have prarabdha karma, which is the karma you're going to experience in this life, which is only a small portion. Like you come to Mantra Fest and you have maybe a few $100 with you in cash, and that is what you're going to spend here. And the standard horoscope that everyone thinks of, or at least that everyone thinks of when they study astrology, the standard horoscope of all the planets at birth when you were born, that actually shows the prarabdha karma, all the karma that you're going to experience in this life, from your birth, from your mom and your consciousness that you were born, from all the people that were in your room the moment you got born, until your last breath. And even also your next life technically is also there, depending on if you suddenly choose to drastically alter your destiny. And even the total karma, sanchita karma, is also in your horoscope, but it's a little bit hidden. We skip it for now because most people are just worried about this life, you know? Like if we would be in India, maybe we could restructure it, but even there actually, what matters is now, right? So we focus on prarabdha karma, which is this life, at the point you were born. Now, there's a third division, which is called kriyamana karma, or all the karma that you're going to experience, all the actions that you do in this life to change it. And there's a famous saying that people have much more free will than they think they do, but they use much less than what they think they do as well. That meaning that we actually have the ability to change the karma that we were born with, but most of the time we don't. So all the action that a person does in this life, the astrologer can actually also see at the time that you contact him. Because after all, what inspires you to see him, the astrologer, is also your karma. It's not that you suddenly break out of it by seeing him. No, you had the good karma to, if it's a good astrologer, you had the good karma to meet a guide. If you had some bad karma, then maybe you met someone to just make your pocket a little lighter. But it also can be read. And most of the time, those two, they always line up, because what people are experiencing right now is what they were destined to experience at birth. Maybe 1 in 20 you meet that something changed for better or for worse. Then there's a fourth category, just to be complete. That's called agamana karma. And that is just, it's very subtle, but it's that kind of reaction, that kind of karma that you accrue by aligning yourself with the universe and with the kind of celestial clock that is ticking, and by starting your activities in good moments. For example, in India, it used to be very common practice that people, before they get married, they would check if their destiny is kind of aligning. Like the first thing the astrologer will look is, are they going to live the same amount of time? Because if one person is going to leave 20 years earlier, we have a problem there. And then the next thing he will check is if one of them going to have some mental challenges at some point in their life. And they check all these things. And then they also choose, and then they check, do they match? You know, same nature, all of this makes dating a little easier, I think, if you can sort out a few things at first. And then they also choose a nice time to get married, because if you do something big like a marriage and you choose a bad time, then it can make life a little harder. So agama karma is that kind of karma that you get by setting the right intentions at favorable moments. So that's just a ABC into karma. Now, how does astrology fit into that? Basically, the 9 planets. Could you bring me like a cloth of some water? Oh, thank you so much. So basically, the 9 planets, they are the agents of karma. True, but I want more, so I just get someone to bring me some water and then I will redo it. For now, she's getting some for me. Yeah. Okay, sure, I take it. Ganga, come back. Thank you. Yes.
So the karma of this life is kind of like the road you're already on, that's leading you to where you would go, but then you can change the road if you want to.
Exactly.
But then the karma, your total karma is kind of like the country that you're in driving those roads. Like you can't drive off into another.
A little bit. We can say it like that. For example, you have some Prarabdha karma for to meet a wife who is like very arty and very creative and like that. That's kind of the karma that's set. But now you can choose, like, will you, like you're thinking, should I go from a holiday, should I go to Thailand or should I go to Indonesia? And you know, the experience in one sense, it is a little bit predetermined. You know, we can say, oh, this year is going to be the hardest year in your life. Whether you go to like America or Australia, like, you know, something's already a bit set. Oh, great. So a little bit like that. And then also, like, it could be fixed karma, like your fixed karma to meet a certain type of spouse because of what you did in the past. Maybe in your last life you cheated someone really, really badly. So then you have fixed karma that in this life they're going to take birth as your son. Can happen. So then you could just try to see how it goes for yourself, or you could do some astrological remedies to change things before you have kids, depending on how far you want to take it. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Then it's just more work. It's just more work. It's just more work. Okay, so the in Vedic astrology there is 9 primary planets, and the planets are basically the agents of karma. So basically everything I told you so far, you can believe me or not. Like it's kind of up to you, right? I'm sure some of you at least would like to see some kind of science behind it. And astrology is indeed very scientific. So does anyone know the 9 planets in Vedic astrology? Rahu. Okay, sure. Everyone knows Rahu, right? Okay. So we can put Rahu here, sure. Anyone else? Any guesses? Like, you know, we have lights in the sky and you know the names of them? Sun. Great. Sun is number 1. You said Shani. So in India, they call Saturn Shani. We say Saturn. Anyone else? Moon, Mars. Great. Mercury. Perfect. That's in order. Who's next? Jupiter. Venus. And then Pluto. Yeah, technically, yeah. But not in Vedic astrology. Uranus also not in Vedic astrology. Mangal is Mars. Ketu, great, yeah. In India, they call Mars Mangal. Mangal means very auspicious. And Mars, he's like number 1 planet who breaks marriages. He also causes car accidents and all type of stuff. So they call him auspicious. So they won't upset him. So they say, oh, you're auspicious. Just go. Leave me alone. Well, I don't know how many marriages I've seen this year that got broken, or Mars is trying to break. So
My relationship broke on the Jupiter conjunct Mars.
Jupiter is marriage. Jupiter is marriage, significant of a marriage, husband. Mars is, yeah. And many people, they follow like kind of the transits. Like you can watch some YouTube video, like, or Instagram post. Jupiter moves into Taurus, and this is what's going to happen for you. People actually don't realize that it will be different according to your baggage, according to your birth horoscope. Like those are very simplified predictions, which are actually not textual. And it does work, but only for very few people who have particular combinations. So Jupiter-Mars conjunction only impacted your life in that way, but not 5 million other people. And there's a science behind it as well. So there's a lot of half-truths out there. So I would like to share with you that. Oh yeah, so, exactly. So basically, in Vedic astrology, the primary planets, they only go up to Saturn, because after Saturn there's Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and they're not visible with the naked eye. And even though they had advanced technology to see further, there was this consideration and this importance on planets that are visible with the naked eye, or with the naked eye. Rahu and Ketu, they are they're the North Node and South Node in Western astrology, and those are the planets which are, they're mathematical points. They can be calculated, and they cause eclipses, and they, depending on where they were in your horoscope, they will change your life. So that's why they're also considered. There's a lot of other planets which are also mathematical points and kind of shadow planets, but we're not going to speak about them. And Uranus and Neptune are actually not included in Vedic astrology. The idea is that everything you see in this world is part of those nine planets. And we're going to look into that a little deeper. And we're going to start with the sun. So let's put that up. Internal. Every planet has an internal signification that it rules in your body, in yourself. It has a component that it rules in society, and also a component that it rules in your body, in your physical body. So, for example, the sun is the indicator for our soul, for our sense of self and self-esteem, and for our personality, like that which makes you you, and that which makes you different from me. And in society, the sun, among many other things, represents the father. And in our body, I just skipped the Sanskrit, it indicates Astu Dhatu, which is the bones. Do you think those three things have anything in common? Your bones, your dad, and you. Foundation. Wow, I like that. Yeah, definitely. So the sun illuminates this whole universe with light, and the soul in our body illuminates this body with consciousness. So there are many similarities in their function on a macrocosmic and a microcosmic way. The sun also represents our father, right? And because at least in more traditional cultures, it was understood that it is the father, they thought like that the father is the person who gives the children this ability, this identity of self. He also gives them their self-esteem. By the mother, she gives them a bit more of that emotional reality of care. That was Vedic in 5,000 years ago, in a bit more traditional culture. Like now, many women could have a fatherly role, or many dads can have a motherly role. But we want to understand the archetype and what we can learn from it. And now, if a person was born when the sun was very weak, which means, I mean, there's many rules that you would learn if you study astrology that weaken the sun, but just to keep it simple, if a person is born when the sun was very weak, then the first thing that would happen in their life is that their father might not be available. And there could be some difficulties they experience in their life with their father or with father figures. And as a consequence of that, it is very likely that there's a slight lack of identity. Maybe they take much longer to figure themselves out. There could be a lack of self-esteem. There could be a lack of leadership and pride in them a little bit. And as they grow older, depending on how weak is the sun, also in the physical body, we will see that they're more prone to heart problems because the sun rules hearts. They're also more prone to problems with their bones. Like, for example, I had a few clients last year, many women, sometimes when they get older, they get osteoporosis, right? It's maybe common, maybe not around this crowd, but they have weak posture. And a lot of it is also not just because of their body, but because they lack self-esteem and they have a poor posture. And understanding astrology or understanding the Vedas actually would mean to have a really holistic approach of life and understanding how all these things are connected. So if a person has a lot of problems with their bones, then instead of just giving them medical remedies, you could also ask them about their relationship with their father, and you could even ask, you should definitely ask them about their self-esteem and their self-value and their posture and things of this nature. Let's do some more. I really like the moon. Anyone has an idea of what could be the internal significations of the moon? Emotional, mom? Yeah, okay, sure, mom, definitely, emotion. Body, yeah, sure. Mind, I like mind, which is the sitting place of all emotions. And internally, the moon represents the mind. In society, it's our mother. It is motherly figures. It is even society in general, because actually mom is the first person in society that you ever meet. And does anyone know attachment theory? Yeah? Great. So in attachment theory, the relationship with your mother influences how you interact with people for the rest of your life. That's what they say, particularly in intimate relationships. So if a person was born, let's say, on a new moon, when there was no moon in the sky, first of all, and there were other negative influences on the moon, then a person will have a difficult relationship with mom. Mom most likely had a difficult life too, and the emotional reality will be a little less grounded. And then in the future, how they bond with society, or particular how they bond in intimate relationships, will be completely tainted by that. And in our scientific academic world, they say it is that first year of life in your relationship with mom. Like, that's how the whole theory is built on. It's one of the major theories in psychology. But actually what they all don't understand is that your relationship with mom was already set the moment you were born. And if you would do like some scientific research, you would see that every single person who had a negative relationship with their mother and has some negative attachment styles and difficulties in relationships, they will have an afflicted moon by the time they were born. And then, like, I would think in that way that maybe there is some more like scientific backing to astrology rather than just some airy fairy tale that you tell to others to impress them. And in the body, the moon is connected to the blood, or what's called rasa dhatu in Sanskrit. So if a person had a difficult mother and a lot of problems with the moon, they're also much more likely to develop problems with the blood as they grow older. And that's also why we say, by the way, that's also why we say that you have this blood lineage, the concept of the blood lineage, which goes through the mother in particular. And that's also because of that connection between the moon and family. And very interestingly, in attachment theory, they have 3 problematic attachment styles, right? They have avoidant, dismissive, avoidant, disorganized, and ambivalent, preoccupied, if any one of you follows psychology. And those 3, they exactly, like to the book, correlate to moon with Mars. It gives this preoccupied attachment style, which means mom, she was there, but she was a little bit too much. She was like holding the baby too close. She was just too much, a little bit too much in the face. She was just too intense, too active. Or she could have been angry as well. And then kind of people that develop this attachment styles in relationships where they suddenly get so close to a person and really quickly do whatever they like to do. And then the next moment, they just push the person away. And then again, they go back, and very mixed signals. Maybe you ever had partners like this before. Then this was the ambivalent, preoccupied attachment style. And that was also that kind of Moon-Mars combination. The other combination, the other thing they say is a person's avoidant. And if a person's avoidant, then there's avoidant dismissive, which is a person that mom was never there. And like when a person was growing up, mom was not there. and therefore the baby, when it cries, no one comes to care, and therefore the baby learns to stop crying. And also, if you have a relationship, that means if there's a problem with your partner, you just run away rather than facing it, because you think that your needs won't be fulfilled. And that is exactly what happens if a person is born with a strong Saturnian influence on the moon. And there's another one which is kind of a mix of the previous two, and it's quite complicated, but that is moon with Rahu. It give a lot of anxiety. So all I want to share with that quick example is how a little bit how the horoscope works, and how every area in your life will have a mirror image in the horoscope, and the astrologer will be able to read it. We can do the other ones. Let's think of Mars. Anyone has an idea? Who knows astrology? What could Mars be internally? Male power? Yeah, sure. Like, how would you call male power without saying male? Masculine energy? Yeah, sure. Mars is courage. So courage is often associated with male energy. So Mars rules courage. And in society, what do you think? Who could that be? The warriors, exactly, very true. It's warriors, policemen, soldiers, generals. But actually, you'll be surprised, the first person in society is your siblings. Because your siblings, they teach you how to be courageous. With mom and dad, they just give you everything, right? But then your siblings, they teach you how to apply your will. And in the body, just if anyone of you is really into health, like you have Ayurveda and all of these things, I just want to show you that every area in life would be covered. So in the body, Mars is actually your nervous system. A little bit, like in Indian medicine, Ayurveda, it's slightly different to Western medicine, and there's no exact English translation, but we can say it is the nervous system. And we can see how Mars, he really likes to follow orders. Persons who are very Martian, they just love to follow orders. Like if they have some good leadership, like soldiers, they're not known for thinking, but they're known for acting and following orders, right? So Mars, he needs a head. And in the body, that's the nervous system, which always follows the brain. And if the nervous system attacks the body and doesn't follow, is like kind of this Martian person, the soldier without leader, then when the nervous system attacks your body, then it is a negative outcome, right? So Martian people always need some guidance. Like young men as well, before they get married, they're like Mars. And that's why you said male energy. Yeah, but after marriage, they become like Jupiter. So now Mercury, internally, what do you think? Anyone has a guess? Communication, great. It's communication. He's the giver of speech. In society, hard to guess, but in society, Mercury represents your friends. So if a person has a very afflicted Mercury, then he has problems to maintain friends. If Mercury is really afflicted, then you can make a confident guess as an astrologer and say like, oh, did you ever have a friend longer for a year? Maybe not, if Mercury is very afflicted. In the physical body, hard to guess actually, Mercury is, it's called Rakta Dhatu, and it's kind of plasma. It's also the skin. So also a lot of problems who have skin problems. That is because of Mercury. And Mercury also rules childhood, and that's why, what kind of childhood, puberty. And that's why many people have skin issues in puberty. Now, Jupiter, internally, what do you think? Who could be Jupiter? Wisdom, intelligence, I like it. It's happiness and knowledge. Exactly, pretty much what you said. Because the understanding is, if a person has knowledge, he's happy. There was understanding back in the days, now it's changed. Now we think like, if you don't know about it, then you don't have to worry. But actually with greater knowledge comes greater happiness. And therefore Jupiter is always happy. In society, for a woman, Jupiter is the partner. So back then they used to say husband. So we just keep it like that. Oh, boyfriend, like once the relationship's a bit more serious, that's Jupiter. And in the body, you can't guess, it's what is called, it's called Mamsa Dhatu, but basically refers to all the fatty tissue, including your brain, which is actually a lot of fat, technically. How can we keep it? Yeah, this is fatty tissue. And that is why, if you ever observed, a lot of men, after they get married, at least in other cultures, or maybe here too, they tend to get fat. Particularly after 32, the time in life after 32, that is all Jupiter. Like it means like, Jupiter means also responsibilities and
That's also other way around, yeah? Like wife.
no,
So it's husband.
it's husband. Yeah, Venus is wife. Like that's why for women Venus is that's why for women Jupiter is really important. But for men also, but not as much. Jupiter is also gurus, teachers, all of these kind of figures. And what do you think internally? What could be Venus?
The heart.
The heart? Sure. I like it. But you mean like love, right? Yeah, sure. So Venus is your ability to love yourself and others. If Venus is very afflicted, then most likely we can expand it a bit. Like it is wife, but it is also like that juicy phase in the relationship. They say like the first 16 months, right? When the chemicals are just skyrocketing, right? That is Venus for anyone. And then the later part, the next, I don't know, 30 years or 50 years or 5 years, depends on you. That's Jupiter as well. So like there's a bit of an overlap, but in particular, he is for man, he's the wife, and for woman, Jupiter is the husband. And in the body, it's like the immune system, but also the sexual fluids, right? Also the immune system. So now if a person has problems, if the person was born and in a previous life they did a lot of mean things to women or to relationships, then in this life they're born with difficult Venus. And Venus won't just allow for them to manifest relationships so easily.
When you say something's afflicted or it's weak, what do you mean by it? Like the planets are in a position where it's not supportive for you?
Yes. So I could give you more examples, but I'm here for 1 hour, so I was thinking, how much can I teach you? But for example, if Venus is in Virgo, Virgo is a sign of being very intellectual, right? Venus really hates to be in Virgo because it means like you love free intelligence. And then on top of that, if Venus is with any of the negative planets like Mars, Saturn, or Rahu or Ketu, with one of them, or one of those planets is looking at Venus, the planets have eyes as well, then there's some problems. And then there's difficult houses. If Venus is in a house of celibacy, I don't know what would happen to your relationship life. And then it can be even worse, like if Mars and Saturn are in Venus, then Venus is cursed. When you have a curse from your previous life, like someone said, evil eye, right? Means in your previous life you made a person so upset that all that negative energy that they have, it is in this life is just blocking you. It will be really difficult. And astrology is very, very complex. So there's your general relationship karma, then there's your first marriage, and there's your second marriage, and there's your third one, like kind of, they all have a little bit different karma going. But yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah, cool. And you know, especially with Venus, like with the other planets, I didn't see it as much, but especially with Venus, is that these days modern society is not very supportive of Venus. And so most people, they actually, even if they have good Venus karma, by the time they're like 25, they have it all destroyed already, because just of the lifestyle. Not everyone, but like maybe not in this festival, but there's certain like social patterns that we do and hookup culture that are not very good for your Venus karma. And that's that example of Kriyamana karma. Like if you might have good Venus karma, but then if you have like, you really take advantage of people because you're super attractive and you just like break so many hearts, like you're not setting yourself up for a positive marriage in the future. Does that make sense? A little bit. Yeah, you had a question?
I was just going to say, you know, with the karma, can it be societal as well? You know, like, say the whole planet at the moment is going through where people aren't very loving, so rather than just you as a person, it's also a collective thing as well.
Definitely. But we don't want to zoom too far out. Like countries also have a horoscope, and there's more horoscopes than just your birth chart. But for now, we just keep it on your birth chart. But for example, if you take birth in a country where there's war, if the country has war in the horoscope, and you just take birth in that country, you share a little bit on that as well, even though it might not be your karma.
Would it still be related to your personal karma that you were born into that time?
A little bit. It's a kind of a layover, but it's not all from you. Yeah. It's just because in this life you utilize the resources of this country, so you get some of that karma. Yeah. Okay. Then Saturn internally. Yeah. Any ideas? Saturn, he's the giver of grief. So internally he's suffering. He also rules discipline, but we introduce him as the giver of grief. In society, he represents elderly or weak people or servants, which you don't have in Australia, so more like elderly, weak people, they're represented by Saturn. In the physical body, Saturn rules our muscles, and we might explain that another time. Rahu is all the illusions that we have in life. Ketu is, how can we say that? But we don't really have Ketu in our Western culture, but it's that desire for freedom and to break out of cultural norms, but also to leave this kind of, to become a spiritual person. Let's say Ketu is spirituality. They're shadow planets, so their society and physical extents, we will skip them for now. But you can understand a little bit that there's karma, there's different types of karma, and there's 9 planets which give you that karma in those areas. And any decent astrologer, he will see what is your karma in that realm and what is kind of blocking you. And he should also see, was that because you were born and you did something wrong, or was it because of something that you did right now? And obviously there's unlimited variations to it. Now, let's be practical. What can we do with this knowledge? So, for example, if a person would be born and there is some negative karma with the moon, and maybe there was a difficult relationship with mother, maybe there is difficult mental health situations, like mental health is a big thing these days, then what would you do? Because imagine you go to a doctor and he just tells you have a flu. Like, oh, you have a flu. And then go home. Like, you wouldn't be very happy. Because if he tells you there's a problem, he should also give you a solution. So in the same way, also the astrologer, there's also astrological solutions. And they're actually the only solutions that I think that are really holistic. Now, there's 3 levels to reality. Any guesses? Okay, great, nearly. So there's the physical reality. Physical, that we can touch, right? Then there's another type of reality which is completely different, that you all experience every day. Any, Sartre? Mental? Dreams, yeah, sure, dreams. And dreams, they're in our mind, right? So the physical reality we experience through our body, which finally goes to the mind, but then we also have our subtle or our mental reality. And then someone said spiritual, and technically yes, there's also a spiritual reality, but before that is actually the causal reality. That which causes the subtle, which then causes the physical. Like in modern society, matter comes first and consciousness is kind of a weird byproduct that no one can understand. Yeah, but in India, the understanding was that consciousness always comes first, and then from consciousness actually comes our mental body, which is consciousness a little bit more refined, and then from the mental body comes actually the physical body. And in that sense, actually, many people sometimes they think similar to how they look. There's a whole art of reading a person's stature and face to learn more about them, right? Some people who are intuitive, they're good in it, and that is because their physical body actually developed after their mental body. In the same way how you have a game and you choose an avatar, right? And you make your avatar according to the image in your mind, right? So now for example, if a person would have problems with their moon, he could do some physical activities to change that. And that would be to strengthen the moon. For example, the moon also represents cleanliness, right? So if a person would keep themselves very clean, that would actually benefit their mental health. And that is why many people who are not very clean, they also get more mental health problems. Have you noticed that? Right? Or some people even who have some mental health issues, they are very severe, but people have this obsession with cleaning. And then they clean and they get this minute release from it, right? That is because the moon, technically, keeping yourself clean is a physical remedy for your mind. Now, some other things are technically not so much used these days, but the moon also represents singing, right? And for you, maybe those things that sound really abstract, but if you would study astrology in the same way how you study like anything else, like if you would go deep into the science, you can understand how everything in the world is correlated to one planet. And the moon in particular is correlated to singing, and also to water, which is cleanliness. And that is why people sing in the shower, if you ever wondered. So what else is related to the moon? To the moon also, I mean, technically is also like care and sensitivity and all of that, like caring for someone else. So, and that's why many people who have mental health problems, they get a dog, right? And then they take care of the dog, and it helps them to improve their mind. So those are, maybe care is a little bit more mental, but those are some physical ways to kind of tune in with reality and to change your life. Now, mentally, a person could do counseling, right? It's the obvious one. You don't have to go to the astrologer. But it is included in this more holistic understanding of what is actually happening in reality. Now, what do you think would be causal remedy? Any ideas? Be creative. It's hard, right? Because you never thought there's a causal reality. Okay, sure. They technically, meditating, I like it. Actually, that is true, but not any meditation.
Maha mantra?
Yeah, sure, I like it. Definitely, but that's not where I'm going. And that's kind of your, that's like going to the mega store where you get your one solution for everything. But to be a little bit more precise, particular here, intentionality. Yeah, like I'm not going to worry, from today on, I'm not going to worry again, ever. Service, yeah, sure. So basically, causal remedies, they would involve that you have this bunch of papa karma, you have this bunch of negative karma that's very blocking you. And what you do, you understand what happened in the past, what you did to cause that, and you work to make it up. So for example, if you're born and you have a difficult relationship with your mother, then most likely in your previous life you did something to upset your mom. And now you're getting the reaction. Because the planets, they ensure that everyone gets the karma, everyone gets the action for their deeds, so that there's justice in the world. And now the world does not look just at all, but if you understand astrology, if you understand that we don't come in as a clean sheet, then we might be able to consider, maybe actually there is an underlying pattern, but because we're just seeing one episode in a whole season, we just don't get it, right? We just see the episode where the criminal gets into jail, but we didn't see what happened. So causal remedy, for example, would be, there is different types. One is mantras, one is donations, like acts of or service. Then there's some other ones which are a bit more far out, like there is ancient rituals, and there's fasting technically. So there's a few of them, and maybe you've come across some of them before. So for example, my teacher, he really emphasized donations because that used to be part of traditional cultures. People, they would donate some of their energy, some money, some energy. Exactly, giving back, you know. So for example, if a person has a really bad relationship with the mom, then what you should do, you should give some service if you can, you know, if you can. You should try to make up for that relationship, understand that, oh, this was actually not all my mom. Actually, I was born with this karma. It's a really tough pill to swallow, but you should understand, like, you know, I was born with it. Like, it was there in my horoscope the moment I was born. Like, was it really all her? Also in relationships, like, the first thing would be to learn to forgive and then to make up for it. And if that's too much, better you could help other mothers, right? You could help other mothers in your life, and you could donate to them. Like, you know, these days there's so many organizations out there, and you might not believe me, but I practice astrology. I had maybe a few hundred clients just in the last year, and you know, like, technically you can, if people have like do treatments for like cancer or have severe mental health or anything, donations will clear up your karma, and you will actually, whatever is your problem, you can change your life. And there's serious remedies, and a normal person will not understand how that works because they cannot see the connection. But if you're open-minded enough, I've seen it a lot.
Spiritual practices as well. You know, like
Yeah.
reading texts.
Yeah, sure. That's next level. Then also chanting mantras, technically, definitely will also change your karma, depending on which mantra. Very powerful results. Technically, you could also fast on a Monday. If you fast on any day, the planets are all connected to the days. Like, you have Sun, which is Sunday, Moon, which is Monday, Saturday, which is Saturn, and Mars. It doesn't make sense in English, but in French we have Mardi, or we have, anyone speak Spanish? Yeah, there you go. In India we have Mangalvar. What's it called? Yeah, Mangalvar. There you go. So every culture understood that the planets are connected to the weekdays, and I covered that last year, so I'm not going to speak about it again, but you're welcome to check it out. But you can see, I want to introduce you to this idea that there's much more to reality than you're aware of. And you all have seen that, you know, like kind of a subtle remedy for the moon. I mean, this one's the obvious one, that you've all seen that, you know, subtle remedies work. You all have seen that physical remedies might work a little bit. So I just want to invite you to possibility. If there's actually something like your birth horoscope, which has all the details, like which has so many details about your life already at birth, I want to invite you. Maybe there's something greater going on, right? Maybe it's not all random. Maybe there is maybe there's a reason for your family members. Maybe there's a reason for all your relationships and your career and your health. And if you, my teacher always says, besides all of those things, awareness is the greatest remedy, or the first remedy. So if you just expand your awareness in that realm, that could be very, very great. And as I mentioned, like, serious problems, so many serious problems in life could just be solved through mantras and donations. And technically there's a few more, but they're very powerful, and I would like to introduce you to that. Now, does anyone have a question about that? Okay, yes.
Around donations and service, isn't sort of if you're doing something for express purpose of benefiting yourself, isn't that sort of muddying the water of like where that sort of
Sure, definitely. You can improve yourself. That's like you're improving your sun karma. Like you're building your personality, your self-esteem, your self-value. You feel good, right, if you spend something on yourself? Like if,
but then doing something expressly for
Self-benefit.
self-benefit, it's like, oh, you really love this and you really love me for this.
I mean, it really depends. Are you really benefiting yourself, or you're just feeding into your ego? Like if you're just really feeding into your ego, Rahu also rules false ego. So if you're giving money to enhance your illusion, all your life's energy goes just in, you know, making up this dream world that you live in, then, you know, you're just giving all this money to Rahu. You get more illusion in your life. And actually, see, donations are not just like about like kind of maybe making a subscription, but it's really about understanding, what do I invest my energy in every day? And you could also just change your whole lifestyle and just invest all your energy into actions of kindness, not hurting anyone, not injuring anyone. And that will also do a lot. But from a purely material perspective, there's a lot of good things you could do to help other people, depending on if your money actually reaches someone or not. Time. Okay, sure.
I'll just say I did a session with Keshri, and it was like spot on, like,
Okay.
and not just like the typical thing, oh, you're gonna feel good today, like, no, it was like, he's telling me about family and
Okay.
like
Thank you.
everything.
Thank
so
you.
I can
Thank
relate
you.
to that.
Okay. Let's keep it down. Let's keep it down. I thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I have a question about the astrologer reader.
Mhm.
I guess there are also differences between the reader self. The one, I don't know, I have the feeling some of them are saying that's your destiny, there's no other way out of it, just accept that. Where others are maybe not saying it, just by giving more tools how they can at least improve their life.
Uh-huh.
I guess that are also. So I would like to hear from you how to discover who is the right astrologist.
Uh-huh. Definitely. So, I mean, also it's important to understand, again, previously we had these 3 types of karma, right? So some karma might be fixed in your life, but realistically not, most of it won't be. And so if an astrologer tells you that is all fixed, then most likely he's making it up. And then second of it as well is that you could judge most likely who is a good astrologer by how much he can see of your past, how much he can knows about you, right? That's usually the test, right? Can he actually see me? So is that actually me? Is that actually like my past? Because before you predict in the future, it's always good to be able to predict the past, so you could judge is he good or not. And then also, I mean, kind of how to find a good astrologer is a little bit more about anything. Like, how do you find a good business coach? How do you find a good like personal trainer? You can judge the person by its qualities, and you look at his results and the other people who came to him, his students, things like that. And rule number 1 in astrology, if you ever would study astrology, rule number 1 is first you look at a person's moon, at their emotional state, and you look how much they can handle. And then you give according to that. And this was just a quick introduction. Actually, I'm just doing readings here as well, but I'm actually also teaching some introductory courses, and this is just a big snippet of my 6 to 12 week course. So if that was like just too much information or not enough information, I'm actually teaching a 6-week course or 12-week course, depending on how far you would like to go.
Where was that, Keshri?
It's online, it's over Zoom. I did it before, and you can get immediate access to the previous recordings. I also I wrote like a book, but I only have 1 copy left, so I can't sell it to you. But a few years ago, I wrote this, which is like a 400-page intro book. But I'm writing a new one, and I couldn't finish it before. It's coming out in 2 months. And basically, my course is based on the textbook. And the course, it's more about just for you, to help you to understand your own horoscope, to learn more about your own horoscope, and maybe like friends and family. The course, like it's 6 or 12-week course, won't enable you to go out and tell everyone about their life, but it gives you at least an understanding of what does an astrologer utilize, what is it actually, how does it work. It's a great journey, like kind of great understanding of yourself and the cosmos we live in. So you're invited to attend that as well if you like, if that is something you think is interesting. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Can I say something so fast before we all dismount? I'm teaching the Pilates here, but I realize there's another program starting at 12:30. So if you wanted to just stay for half an hour, you're more than welcome to. It's going to be old school traditional Pilates, so